Hey everyone, great to be back with another IPL preview. This time we're going to be looking at Mumbai Indians, and there's a lot of caveats to this squad. As I've even written at the top here, if all available, this is maybe how they're going to structure. Now, there's a lot of ifs, buts, and maybes with this one because Jasprit Bumrah is out at the start of the tournament and potentially could be out longer term in the tournament, which is going to be a huge blow to Mumbai. Best bowler in the comp, I think, by some distance. Best bowler in the world by some distance. And he's irreplaceable. And how they go about doing that is going to be extremely interesting. I think initially, at the start of the tournament, they'll probably go with an overseas option and leave out, say, a Bevan Jacobs. But Mumbai are generally a team that love to give a bit of an opportunity to an unknown player. Personally, I don't know the reasons exactly why that is, but I think maybe I suspect that they like to look like they're clever, and it wouldn't surprise me if Jacobs has more of a part to play in this IPL than a lot of people think. Furthermore, Hardik Pandya is out of the first game due to over 8 penalty accrued from last season. So that's the captain and the best bowler out of the first game. And that's a team that generally start quite slowly. So I think that Mumbai might be up against it early on in the tournament. And if they can win an early game, I think that would be a real positive for them. But they might be up against it a little bit because the quality of this the first team and the backup overseas, for example, Will Jacks, who could easily come in for Ryan Rickleton if there's a keeping option, such as Robin Mintz in the team. Now that could be. That looks a very, very strong sort of 12, 13-ish in their squad, but their backups, I think, are not of the same quality. And if Bumrah's out for long term, I think this is a real problem for Mumbai because they generally spend a lot of their money on batters, as you can see. Rohit, Sky, Tilak Varma, Hardik Pandya, all big money in the retention mechanism. So I think the again, as has been the case over recent years, probably since the last auction cycle in 2022, Mumbai are a stronger batting team and bowling team, and that's generally not a dynamic that wins tournaments. Plus, you've got an injury-prone player in Deepak Chahar as well. So you can see, actually, there's a lot that can go wrong with this team, but there's a lot that can go right. They're definitely a high-volatility team, but I'm probably not as bullish about Mumbai as I am about some of the other teams. I definitely don't agree with the people thinking they should be favourites for the tournament, and I definitely think that they might actually struggle to qualify, which is probably a bit of a stretch compared to most people's opinion. If we go through their squad, they've got a good blend of left and rights. If Rickleton plays up the top, if Robin Mintz plays as well, that helps too in that situation. So they can create combos, target short boundaries, go left, right, left, whatever they want to do in terms of breaking up opposition matchups. Strike rate and balls per dismissal is pretty solid for the top order, as we say that they've invested a lot of money in batters, so you would like to think that this would be the case, and indeed it is. It would be disastrous for them if they'd invested a lot of money in batters and this wasn't the case. So that's fine. Boundary percentages are all pretty decent. Hardicks is a bit lower than I think a lot of people might anticipate. This is all data from 2023 onwards. So look, this is a strong boundary hitting group and a strong 6 hitting group. We can see here all of the top 6 are 7+% for 6s, which is definitely considerably above average for a batting group. So this is this is a squad that's going to look to try and hit their way to wins, but their bowling is a real concern to me. Non-boundary strike rates are fine apart from Rohit, who's just getting lower and lower and lower. And if you look at like the last year in isolation, it's actually even lower than this. So slight question mark about how other batters are going to be able to bat with him in terms of turning ones into twos, quick singles, etc. So that's something, a dynamic that's worth keeping an eye on, I think, ahead of this tournament. Against pace bowling, this is a strong pace hitting group. Everyone's over 140, everyone's over 150 at the top 6 except for Hardik. Against spin, it's okay. It's okay. Hardik's got a little bit of a strike rate issue against spin. Sky could probably do with trading off that stability with hitting a little bit more. But overall, it's fine. I don't see any glaring spin matchup issues for this Mumbai top six. Phase wise, power play looks very, very good with four top four of like 140-ish plus strike rates, and decent balls per dismissal as well. In the middle seems fine. Like I say, no glaring spin matchups. And at the death, you've got decent options. You've got Jacobs coming in potentially with a later entry point if he plays. Santner has a kind of ceiling strike rate, if that makes sense, but adds extra depth at 7, and there probably will be he'll probably bat 8 probably with the impact sub coming in that situation as well. Now, going through to the bowling. I think you can see here from 10% boundary conceded, 57% dot percentage earned. You can look at all the spreadsheets that I've done and will do for the IPL previews, and there's no one even close to Jasprit Bumrah. So his injury is going to be a major problem for Mumbai if he doesn't play in this tournament or misses, say, the first half. Real problem. Santner's numbers are excellent for a spinner as well. Probably shows how underrated he is as a spinner. And but the others are, I think, a little bit concerned. 18 plus boundary percentages. 1848 is fine for Bolt, but I would be more concerned about the 22% for a spinner in Khan Sharma, 33% dots. Deepak Chahar with those injuries, and I think a pretty inflexible phase operator as well in terms of he has to try and get his overs done early in the opposition innings. Hardik is, I think, a 6th bowler in this team. I'm not sure other people will agree, but that's my perception of him. In the power play, they look extremely strong if Bumrah plays, but even if they don't, Deepak Chahar and Trent Bolt are as good, probably as good as opening bowling duo that there is in this tournament, or close to that. So look, they don't really need Bumrah in the power play, even though he's obviously imperious in that phase. They can definitely backload him for the later phases, which I think would be my preferred strategy. And you've got some finger spin from Santner, who's a very capable operator in the power play as well. In the middle, it's okay. You could probably look to that delayed entry point for Bumrah. You probably get an over out of Bolt. And then you could probably go with a spin of Santner and some kind of enforcer-ish bowling from Hardik, as well as a spin from Khan Sharma as well. But the spin Santner-wise, apart from Santner, is not great in the squad. I do think that they might want to structure up to try and get Will Jacks in the team somehow as an overseas player, but that means that he Mints to keep, and then it could ease out Rickleton, or there might be another scenario where he comes in, or Rickleton and Jacks play for Jacobs in this team as well. At the death, obviously you want Bumrah playing as much as you possibly can because those numbers are insane. Otherwise, they're probably going to have to go with Hardik and Trent Bolt as their death bowlers, unless they bring in an overseas pacer. So that's a slight issue there. In terms of, I'm not massively a buyer of. I know his numbers are good, but it's not a huge sample. Massively a buyer of Hardik as a death bowler. Yeah, let's see how that goes for MI at the death, and how this translates into their bowling plans. You can see power play bowling attack of Bumrah, Chahar and Bolt if they're at full strength is incredible. Probably as good as, well, definitely as good as there is in a tournament. And then it's pretty clear how their phase operations will go. I think maybe they could do with another spin option in this team, like I said, which leads me to think that maybe Will Jacks might slot in somehow, or could slot in somehow. And that's why I discussed about this preferred combo. And this is a really tough one because, like, we don't know about the fitness of Bumrah. We don't know the fitness of long-term of Deepak Chahar. We know Hardik's out for the first game. So there's going to be a lot of changes to this 11 or 12 with the impact sub in the first game at least, and possibly for a lot more of the tournament to come. So what you could do is bring in Robin Mintz as a domestic keeper and bring in Jacks Rickleton. So you've got that extra spin option. That seems reasonable. You could bring in Namandir in for Bevan Jacobs with an overseas bowler such as Reece Topley. That's also a definite consideration, especially in his early games without Bumrah and without Hardik as well. So yeah, that seems like a potentially likely combo. So there's a lot of guesswork involved into how MI are going to line up in their first game of the comp. Some talking points and Twitter questions. Does Bumrah's availability cause a major issue for MI? Well, of course it does. He's irreplaceable, and yeah, that's going to be a huge problem for them to overcome if they're going to try and do well in this tournament. Without a Bumrah for even half of the tournament, I think they could be playing catch up and really struggling to qualify. Can Robin Mintz and Namandir play together and enable other overseas combos? Well, that's definitely an interesting question, and it wouldn't be a surprise at all for me to see them do that in the first game of the season. So let's see on that one. And yeah, it's there's definitely a scope for that to be the case. Player in focus, I'm going to look at Bevan John Jacobs because I'm really excited to see him at this higher level. Obviously, we've seen it. Yeah, it's a bit cliched, but we've seen that he can hit a long ball, and there's a lot of talent there, and he could light up the IPL if he gets an opportunity. The thing for me is how he's sort of implemented and structured into a team, because his entry point's pretty late generally. He doesn't have a second skill set, so that's a slight issue in terms of. Is he a bit of a luxury player? Quite possibly. So, on the flip side, I can see Mumbai giving him plenty of game time because they love to show the value of their scouting. It's almost like a little bit of a flex for them that they like to show how clever they are, and it wouldn't surprise me if Bevan Jacobs was the player who benefited from that mindset. Strengths in this squad. They've definitely got strength in their top four batting. They've invested a ton of money in it, so that doesn't surprise me. It shouldn't surprise anybody. Boundary hitting, particularly against pace, power play batting, and then their pace bowling, especially in the power play. Those are real strengths for this Mumbai squad at full strength, but we know that they're not going to be at full strength, so that's the big caveat there. In terms of weaknesses, I think there's a lot of fitness and selection problems that they've got to overcome, as we mentioned. Bumrah fitness is a big issue. Hardick's out the first game, and Deepak Chahar tends not to be a consistent player who can get on the pitch consistently because he's pretty injury prone. So the big scope to chop and change his selection, and particularly in his first few games of the tournament. Domestic core and backup domestics is potentially another little bit of a red flag. They definitely don't have, in my view, like backup pacers who can replace any of the domestics. There's no one of the quality of Bumrah or Deepak Chahar on the bench or close to that. So that's a little bit of an issue for me as well. So they're going to have to structure up very differently if they're not available. Which might have an implication on their batting. And I'd put a lack of spin options, and no proven top quality leg spinner, which has been a dynamic for Mumbai in recent years. So that continues as well. They haven't really evolved from that issue, and that's probably a implication of spending so much money on the batting group. So that's MI. Where do I think they're going to come? I'm definitely less confident than a lot of other teams. I'm going to go outside the playoffs, actually. Probably like 5th or 6th, maybe even lower. So, definitely not as confident as a lot of people. I think they might really struggle to qualify because batting strong teams don't tend to be aligned with qualification. And then we've got, obviously, the massive injury doubt over Jasprit Bumrah, who's irreplaceable. So, hope you enjoyed the preview. It'd be great to hear your thoughts in the comments or on Twitter. And please do like and subscribe. 67% of people who are watching these videos do not subscribe. So don't be one of the 67%. Be one of the 33% who subscribe and get these videos directly into your notifications on YouTube. And be great to hear from you and with your thoughts on MI as well. Take care, guys.